Hi everyone, happy New Year. It's been a long time. I've missed you all, actually, and that's really very true. I mean that. Darren will not be here today. He's pretty ill. COVID is raising its ugly head these days. And he thought he would be better, but he's not. And he actually gave me permission to say that. Let's see. I am going to call this meeting to order. It's 4:02. Roll call. Jackie, are you going to do roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Such?
I'm here.
Committee Member Toon?
Here.
Committee Member Coleman?
Here.
Committee Member Mansfield?
Here.
Committee Member Duez?
And he won't be here.
Committee Member Morales?
Present.
And Councilmember Garaventa?
And he won't be here. Okay. So I will open this up to public comment. The public may comment on any item not on the agenda. And I will also open it up to public comment with each agenda item. And if our agenda item is strictly the resolution, I'll probably open it up for public comment part way through.
Would you like to do approval of the agenda if you wanted to move committee member reports up to
Yes,
do the
I forgot. So do I have will someone approve the agenda? I didn't know I did that with this committee, but
I'll move to approve the agenda.
okay, great. A second?
I second that.
Thanks. So approved by Nikki Coleman, seconded by Elisa Mansfield. Thank you both. Let's see. And does that also, no, we approve the minutes separately, right?
Yes, the minutes get approved separately, but just make sure to approve the agenda with adjustment because you want to move the committee member reports up.
Oh, I can do that?
Yes.
So I would like to move committee member reports up to follow public comment. Does anyone have trouble with that? No, is that okay? Everyone? Nathan, you're not on my, I'm not seeing you. There you are.
Here.
Nathan, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So Jackie, I'm sorry that I keep having to ask you these questions, but do I have to get an approval with that change?
It looks like they all just approved it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'd like to open this up for public comment. And just remember that you cannot comment on the resolution itself, but anything that is not on our agenda is open for public comment. And am I not seeing public comment?
If you have any comments, please raise your hand using the raise your hand feature or dial *9 to unmute if you're on a cell phone.
Mayor Hawkins, do you have a comment?
Yes,
Hi.
I do. I was just waiting till to give the members of the public any if they wanted to comment about anything first. So if there's anybody who'd like to go before me.
Mayor Hawkins, I actually do not see anyone.
Okay. And just to show everybody it's me, I'm out in front of my chicken coop. So I'd like to read something if I could. That's members of the public and the messenger. I am only the mayor and only the one delivering the news. So I'm going to stop the video to make sure I have a good signal coming through. But I ask everyone not to shoot the messenger, that I'm only the delivery person for this. I just received a letter from Councilmember Garaventa. And Colette, Councilmember, that you can still hear me, correct?
Yes, I can. You dropped out there for a second, but yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, okay. Oh,
Are you there? Is there a recording playing back?
I can't hear Mayor Hawkins at all.
No, I can't hear him. I can't hear you, Matt. Let me text him. He's probably on his phone though.
If his internet is not working, maybe he can call in.
Okay, I'll text him. Huh, I was hearing him well in the very beginning.
okay. For some reason, I got lost. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Everyone?
I'm going to try one more time, and if not, I'll try calling in because this is important. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And again, I ask you, please don't shoot the messenger. I am only the messenger, and I only have so much. So I received a letter from Councilmember Garaventa. It says, "Dear Mayor Hawkins, I want to notify you that I am resigning from the Social Equity Committee effective immediately and asking you to replace me with another council member. I no longer have any confidence that the committee can properly function to provide the council timely and unbiased advice as it was set up to do. The final straw for me was when the city administrator was censored while trying to provide information regarding city staff and accompanying union concerns over language in the resolution. That action showed a clear unwillingness to take testimony that counters a certain message. If an advisory body does not have all the information necessary to make its recommendations, it cannot advise properly. I also believe that it is taken too far along for the committee to provide the outcomes. It's been over a year and a half since the George Floyd incident, which triggered the formation of the committee, and virtually every other jurisdiction has long since made findings and implemented policy. Yet the committee still languishes without any resolution. Therefore, I cannot continue to pretend that the committee and my participation in it is the best way to achieve the goals of social equity. I believe there are other ways, and venues are much more effective. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Sincerely, Jim Garaventa, Council Member, City of Sonora. If I may, Council Member Such, I would just ask members of the public and the committee to please understand that it's the council's job to either fill this position or however they want to move forward. This isn't necessarily a mayoral appointee. Everything has to go through our city council. So I ask for your patience, everyone's patience in the matter, and that it will be brought up in a very soon to be future council meeting. We have a lot going on, but the social equity, however we continue, is very important to the council. So we will just have to address it as a council. Councilmember Such, hopefully I tried to explain everything. And do you have any questions for me?
I do not.
Unfortunately, committee members can't discuss because this is being said during public comment.
Right.
Right.
I knew that before we started, but I forgot. Thank you.
Sorry, I knew that. I knew better too. Thank you. So
That was a trap.
thank you for the council, I just let the members of the public know the council will do our best to fill or decide however we need to move forward in a very democratic process, and look forward moving forward however we need to. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for doing that. Rather sobering. So
Thank you.
Tristan, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, I sort of protest the attempted coup d'etat. Garaventa had announced he was going to resign a long time ago, and this was done in a timely kind of a way. An attempt to dispose of the Social Equity Committee. I'm having a hard time with it. This is now the city council is going to take it up, and of course they're not going to have Zoom for the public to be involved in. You have to, or you can be involved, but if you want to participate, then you have to telephone in and get into a queue in order to participate. It's deeply disquieting. I'm surprised by it. Thank you.
Thanks. Would anyone else? I'm sorry. Did I see Pat?
Yes. You know, I participated in that meeting that Jim's talking about. I certainly didn't see it as Mary Rose being censored. What I saw was that she was expressing opinions, but she's really not part of this committee. And she was talking at some length. I think they're putting the cart way before the horse by talking about unions wanting meet and confer letters and staff feeling attacked, and implications that the staff are racist. I mean, quite a few people have talked in this committee about nobody is accusing any individuals of being racist, that we're talking about a system, a structure. And somebody was asking at the last meeting, well, is it the banking system? Is it the housing system? Is it the school system? What is it? Well, it's really all of those. It's all systems that have perpetuated segregation and the feeling that people of color are not as worthy as white people. And I think all this Social Equity Committee is trying to do is to raise awareness in the community that this exists, not just here, but everywhere. It's no individual is to blame, but it's a national conversation that's happening now. And as a member of the Martin Luther King Committee, I can tell you I've studied the works of Martin Luther King. I'm not speaking for the committee now, I'm speaking for myself, but we still have many roads to go before we achieve equity. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Mike's hand is raised for public comment now.
I'm sorry, who's?
Mike.
Mike. You may speak.
Thank you. My name is Mike Egner. I'm the Senior Business Representative for Operating Engineers Local 3, and I represent your City of Sonora Public Employees Association. And maybe I can clarify what I'm hearing about the city manager is that when you have a committee that is looking to possibly create policies that affect the working conditions of employees, the unions do have a right to meet and confer on any kind of policies. I think maybe that's where they were going, but I didn't know if everybody knew that. So I just figured I'd let you know that. And that's why I'm on here today, just watching to see if the committee is creating new policies, which is concerning because I've been with the city employees about 11 years. I've never seen any kind of issues raised regarding racist issues regarding employees, and that's who I represent. So I think hopefully that clarifies it, that if there are policies created out of this committee, then we have a right to meet and negotiate those policies before they go into effect. I just want to make sure you were aware of that.
Thank you, Mike. I think I see Pablo's hand up. Pablo, I think you're next.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think, Tristan mentioned earlier about the cart before the horse. I think it's important to remind everybody that the committee starts as an advisory, right? And then brings it to city council. So once it moves to the city council, that would be the point where employees as well as the union and stuff can voice their opinions. Everybody's always welcome to talk about, how it affects them, but it has to be individually represented as the public. It can't be invited as groups, right? But that's not to say that the policy happens at this stage. So I think that was one of the main issues why having a non-public comment, non-committee member comment, be used as an infirmary, was seen as inappropriate. It is a violation of the Brown Act, and that's just a reminder. Additionally, just, I think it's important to comment on the fact that public health and health equity and other big movements are happening. And I think social equity follows the state guidelines, specifically the state equity office that opened in 2016, 2018. I think it's really important to have that coordination and jurisdiction between the city and the state. And I think it would be a real shame to not see that develop. So I'd just like to, note that. Thank you.
Thanks, Pablo. Any other public comment?
I'd like to make a comment
Okay.
or
Yeah.
ask a question. Can you define for me equity, the word equity, as opposed to say like equality?
We can't answer questions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not agenda.
We can't answer that. I'm sorry.
Clarification, you can't answer that?
I would love to, but I can't. I think I just saw Suzanne. Hold on, let me go back. Suzanne, did I see your hand up?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So let me correct me if I'm wrong. This is just open comment, public comment?
Right, just not on anything that's on the agenda. So not on the resolution.
But just my opinion of the social justice document, is that okay?
I mean, the resolution.
What social justice document?
Hold on, Suzanne.
We only allow commenting once per public comment, Tristan.
Suzanne, are you talking about the resolution that we've come up with that's incomplete?
Yeah, I got in a little late, so I apologize. So I had seen floating through the internet that it was some verbiage that whereas the Sonora City Council, et cetera,
That's the resolution, which is what we're working on. So it's agendized. So that is not part of public comment. But
Okay.
when we're talking about that, I will then open it up to public comment specific to that. This is just
okay.
the opening public comment, which is.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. So now I am going to open this to committee member reports. If you have anything you'd like to speak about, committee members. This is your opportunity. Anything? If not, I will start out. I just want, what did I do with it? Sorry.
Paulette, I think Nikki was raising her hand.
Oh, she was. Nikki, were you raising your hand?
I was, but I can wait, whatever you'd like.
No, don't wait. I didn't see it.
I saw in our agenda posting, Mary Rose reported that it was welcome to share quotes today from the late Desmond Tutu, who recently passed away. I think that was part of our kind of our homework, and so I wanted to share. That.
Okay.
And so one quote that's impactful to me, he talks about the Zulu phrase Ubuntu. And he says, quote, "Bringing people together is what I call Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. Far too often, people think of themselves as just individuals separated from one another, whereas you are connected and what you do affects the whole world. When you do well, it spreads out for the whole of humanity." Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Mercedes.
Thank you, Colette. So there are two things that I would like to share about something that Desmond Tutu said. One is when he was fighting against the apartheid, he said that it was incredible, non-acceptable, that a nation that was mostly Black didn't have the right to vote. So that was part of his lifelong fight. In the other hand, there is one quote from him that I want to read today. And he said, "Forgiving and being reconciled to our enemies or our loved ones are not about pretending that things are other than they are. It is not about patting one another on the back and turning a blind eye to the wrong. True reconciliation exposes the awfulness, the abuse, the hurt, the truth. It could even sometimes make things worse. It is a risky undertaking, but in the end, it is worthwhile, because in the end, only an honest confrontation with reality can bring real healing. Superficial reconciliation can bring only superficial healing. And I think this is relevant to the work we are doing, because it is true, it has been over a year since the nation has been confronting many issues. And we can turn a blind eye to that, but we also are moving forward, believing that we really need reconciliation. It's not about condemnation. It's not about breaking bridges, but it is about building bridges and having true and deep reconciliation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes. Anybody? Nathan?
Yeah, you asked us to find a quote, so I found one. You'll have to forgive me, I'm not that familiar with his writing, so the internet tells me this is attributed to him, so we'll just leave it at that. But the quote that I found says that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And I like that, because I feel like every other week, every other month, there's some politician, someone somewhere trying to strip us of our rights, lay down new rules, regulations. It just seems like it's never ending, and we have to be eternally vigilant in the constant fight for protecting our own rights. So that spoke to me. I don't know exactly what he meant or what the context was, but there it is.
Okay. Anyone else?
I found one, and the one I found, differences are not intended to separate, to alienate. We are different precisely in order to realize our need of one another.
Nice, thanks. And sorry, I'm just scrolling through I don't see any more hands raised. I have just a very short one that resonated with me, and it is, when we see others as the enemy, we risk becoming what we hate. When we oppress others, we end up oppressing ourselves. All of our humanity is dependent upon recognizing the humanity in others. And that's it. Thank you all for, I think that was 100% participation. That's impressive. So thank you. So tonight, before we begin, there are a couple things. When I was reading the written document of our resolution, actually, I'm not gonna bring that up. So what I am going to bring up is that Darren isn't here tonight, and I just am wondering how you all feel about not working on the I think it's number 4A, whereas the city of Sonora condemns any form of racially motivated hate, intolerance, and the system of white supremacy culture. We worked on white supremacy culture all last meeting, and I just feel like, I just know that if I were not here, I would prefer that you not work on that one, because that has really been our most difficult writing on this resolution. And I think it deserves to have full attendance. And Darren tried to be here, but he really relapsed today with his illness. So I'm just putting that out there. It's a group decision. It's not mine, obviously, but just curious what you're thinking, what your thoughts are about that. I also understand reasons to move ahead with it. Anyone?
I support that fully. Darren is a really important piece to that conversation, and this is also sort of the heart of our work. And I think he deserves to be a part of it. And there's perhaps other pieces through the resolution that we might be able to discuss and come back to that.
That was my feeling. I feel like his voice is important here.
I see Sonora City Council has their hand up.
Jackie.
Hi, yeah, I just want to make sure we approve the consent calendar before we move on to unfinished business.
Oh, I thought we had approved that. We didn't. Are we approved?
You approved the agenda.
Oh.
Is this, for clarification, is this the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes? Thank you, Jackie, for doing those, by the way. That's hugely helpful.
No problem.
Can anyone want to make them?
Yeah, I read them, and I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes for May 10, 2021, May 24, 2021, and June 14, 2021.
Thanks, Mercedes.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Nikki. So,
and I also wanted to say, if there is a room for discussion, I think Mary Rose also sent us a packet on how those minutes are organized, and I just wanted to say thank you. I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Now, let's move on to discussion and possible action of a resolution in support of racial justice. So 4A aside, because we're not going to work on that one. And I'm sorry I didn't update this. I should have really done that, but I didn't. And I promise I will do that by next time. I feel like we spoke in great deal, and I don't know what page this is, but it's 5H.
Colette, I wonder if Jackie could share the resolution, or if she allowed me to share that on the screen.
Jackie, can you make Mercedes co-host?
No problem.
5H is on page 6.
Sorry, as you're doing that, Colette, when will the public input be raised for this topic?
For the resolution?
Yes.
I think, it's 4:30, probably in 15 minutes, maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Just let us work on it a little bit for public comment.
Just a reminder that members of the public can only speak during public comment.
Okay. So I actually feel like is this what you wanted up, Mercedes? The actual, is this what you want? No?
Or do you want to show the table?
Well, yeah, because I think the table, the resolution stops at 5B, 5C, and we're beyond that.
I can show the table.
And I think someone said it was page 5. Is that correct? I didn't print.
I have 5H on page 6.
It's page 6. Okay. 5H.
If that's the one we're on.
We had actually had some questions about 5G, whereas the Sonora's diversity will continue to change and our city will adapt and change with it, but we talked about and grow with it. We will treat one another with dignity, integrity, and respect. Did we decide that it would be grow, not change? Does anyone remember? That's what my notes say. 5G. G.
Yeah, I think it's the city will adapt to grow with it.
Yeah, I think it's the next page, Mercedes. A little 5G or 5G, yeah. Couple, go down a little bit more. No, down. Other way.
5B.
Oh, 5. Sorry.
Okay. There we go. So, change. Well, so it will read, whereas whereas Sonora's diversity will continue to change, and our city will adapt to grow with it. We will treat one another with dignity, integrity, and respect. Is what that one should say. And then 5H, that one we didn't really, we didn't resolve that one. What I think we came up with was, therefore, the city of Sonora will promote an atmosphere of inclusion. And then it says promoting the good, but there was a question about whether we want to say the good of our community, listening and addressing disparities. It says problems, but I think we thought it should be disparities that may arise in its future, to be focused on our community's needs and values. So should I say that without interrupting it? Therefore, the city of Sonora will promote an atmosphere of inclusion, promoting the good or the best of our community, listening and addressing disparities that may arise in its future, to be focused on our community's needs and values.
I don't know that we need to say promoting the good of our community. Will promote an atmosphere of inclusion, listening and addressing disparities that may arise in its future. And instead of to be, perhaps and be focused on our community's needs and values.
Was going to be my question too. It's been a minute since we've reviewed this, but I thought we were going to take out the promoting the good, but I don't remember.
I wasn't sure if we were going to take out that whole section or just the word good and come up with a different word, but I remember, you know, there was talk about changing promoting to fostering, but then there was talk about not separating good and bad here, not calling certain things good and certain things bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about then is, therefore the city of Sonora will promote an atmosphere of inclusion, listening and addressing disparities that may arise in its future, and be focused on our community's needs and values. Is that it?
Yeah, I really like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We accomplished something. Okay, 5J, whereas we desire the city of Sonora to be a place where all are welcome and are treated with empathy, respect, fairness, and trust. And we added fairness and trust to 5E. I mean, empathy and trust, excuse me.
I feel like 5E says,
I agree.
has the same message of 5A. I'm not sure that there's anything in 5A that we're not getting.
5A or 5J?
From 5E.
5E and 5I. Right now we're on 5A.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
5I. I'm not sure there's anything in that statement that we haven't already said in E.
I agree. I think it's a repeat. Everyone else?
I agree.
Nathan. One of our wordsmiths.
5J, whereas the city of Sonora acknowledges its responsibility to strive to be a socially and racially equitable community. Is that a therefore, not a whereas?
I think it's a whereas, because it's giving reason to the therefore, right? So it acknowledges the responsibility, therefore. I don't know that we need to say to strive, whereas the city of Sonora acknowledges its responsibility to be a socially and racially equitable community.
I think it's a lot smoother that way, to get rid of strive.
I totally agree with that. Okay, next page. Okay, whereas the city of Sonora and its community not only welcomes and embraces diversity, but let it also foster cultural awareness and inclusivity. Thoughts? This is not mine, but I think this is the first time we talk about cultural awareness, and I like that. Any other thoughts? Nathan, I can tell you're wordsmithing here.
Well, are we on 5K?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I was just looking at it. Sorry, I'm thinking about I'm mostly just thinking about the construction of the sentence.
Yes,
the tense,
same.
because after the comma and then you have the but. I think maybe it should just say, fosters, embraces diversity and fosters, but I don't think we need to have but let it also.
Uh-huh.
The city of Sonora and its community not only welcomes and embraces diversity, but it also fosters cultural awareness and inclusivity. Something along
I
those
like
lines.
that. That one was mine and
Yeah.
I found it really wordy, so that worked.
Right. I
like-
agree. Yeah.
Since it's kind of getting into action, about the action of fostering cultural awareness and inclusivity, it's starting to feel like a therefore statement to me. I feel like it would need additional language to stay as a whereas statement, whereas the city of Sonora and its community. You're tracking with me.
Yes. But also foster. I actually think it still kind of works like as a whereas, but
Okay.
we can, I don't know. What does everyone else think?
Unless we take out the not only, then I think it can be a the other one.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think we can take out not only.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Whereas
it'll be
the
a
city of
therefore.
Sonora, and I don't think, whereas the city of Sonora and its community welcomes and embraces diversity and fosters cultural awareness and inclusivity.
Yes.
Yeah, more
So
concise.
just and fosters.
Yeah. Does that sound good? Is that still whereas or is that a therefore?
Whereas.
Whereas.
Yeah.
All right. Whereas the city of Sonora and its community pledges to be a refuge, an ally, and provide a safe zone to people of all racial, ethnic, and multicultural backgrounds. I think I wrote immigration status in there. Sorry. This isn't mine either. Any thoughts about this?
I really love the words safe zone. I think that's the first time we've said something like this, and I think it's important.
So I think we need to decide between, I agree, I like that a lot. And I think we need to decide between declares or pledges.
I like pledges because it almost is like an agreement to something we're gonna do.
Which would make it a therefore statement.
Well, maybe it should be a therefore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. It's a pledge, it's an action, it's an agreement.
So therefore, the city of Sonora and its community pledges to be a refuge, an ally, and provide a safe zone to people of all racial, ethnic, and multicultural backgrounds. Do we want immigration status? That was not in the original writing.
I have a question about that.
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer and I don't know anything about immigration law, but does the city of Sonora have the legal right to provide a safe zone for people whose immigration status may be in question? I'm not saying they do or they don't. I'm saying I don't know.
I think that you have a point. I think you're right. I don't think that's under its purview. Okay, so therefore the city of Sonora and its community pledges to be a refuge, an ally, and provide a safe zone to people of all racial, ethnic, and multicultural backgrounds. How do people feel about that?
I think
So
in the,
Mercedes is thinking on something.
Well, yeah, I think that Nathan is right about the legal part, because we can say that it's a safe zone and maybe leave it open to people of all racial, ethnic, and multicultural backgrounds.
Yeah, I think that the Nathan's point is well taken.
Yeah.
All right, so move forward. I guess.
Yeah.
So now we're sort of on action items, you guys. We're getting to the end. Let me see what time it is. It's 4:47. Do you guys mind if I open this up to public comment? So the public
Please.
can kind of weigh in on this. Let me just mark my page. Okay, I'm opening this up for public comment, and you can comment on any of on the resolution. I think that I saw Tom's hand up. I did. Tom Crosby.
Thank you, Colette. I just wanted to add a dimension that you may or may not have already discussed. We have a number of county agencies, organizations, and businesses that are actively marketing the benefits of visiting or living in our county. And a person researching and learning about Sonora who finds this resolution may have some concerns, and I'll pose these as questions to the committee for your consideration. Paragraph 1B in the resolution dated 9/13, which is what's in the agenda, which is what I think most people are going to respond to here today, may imply that Sonora is not a place of racial equity, justice, and acceptance. And and I'm not expecting answers to these questions today. I'm just placing them out there. I will forward this on to a committee member. Does the committee find policy, ordinance, or laws producing inappropriate outcomes today? And then in paragraph 1CE, it reflects on behavior that many people in the late 1800s believed inappropriate and people in our age find reprehensible. Is the intent to have the descendants compensated in some way for those times? What action is expected of current residents along those lines? 3EC, does the committee have evidence of wounds from the late 1800s that remain today? Is there ongoing multi-generational strife that visitors or people interested in relocating here should consider? And for A,
Can you repeat that last one, please? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to take notes.
I'll forward this on to you, Colette.
Okay. All right.
4A, white supremacy culture remains a controversial ideology. Are we saying that Sonora is a worse place to consider in this regard than other locations? 4D, does the committee have evidence that fear is being amplified in our community, reducing the attractiveness or safety as a destination? 4I, is the city of Sonora having a problem protecting public safety, supporting public discourse, and defending the rights of our population? The main themes of this resolution are already media amplified, and activists outside our community may drive an expanded message, perhaps with national publication, without regard to this committee's objective to benefit the community of Sonora and its future. And I'm concerned about possible negative and unintended outcomes here. I realize a lot of time and thought and effort has been invested in the development of this resolution. I'd like to please ask that you consider the resolution's community benefit versus the potential negative implications to our broader county initiatives, those of developing jobs and business and trying to bring people into to work. And as an alternative, perhaps this committee could leverage the development of this resolution as input to a community working group that identifies specific issues and actions, obtains support within the city and county to enhance Sonora for the benefit of all of its
That's the
citizens.
3 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the time to provide input. I'll forward this on. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Suzanne?
Can you hear me? Okay, as a prior public employee for 15 years as a peace officer, I have to say that all this verbiage is already in the policy and procedures and the memorandum of understanding that government employees already signed. Also, I'd like to point out that Congress and the legislature, when this country was first developed, was the only one to make laws. Our bureaucracy has expanded to 150 other groups that now make laws. The expansion of government rules and regulations is overwhelming. And I also like to point out, I did read the resolution and all of the items. I think we need a quick history lesson. So let me go over it. In 1487, the Aztecs murdered 80,400 people in 4 days of sacrifice. 1932, the Ukrainian genocide. Stalin starves to death 25,000 people a day, men, women, and children. 1937, the massacre of Nanking. The Imperial Japanese Army slaughters 200,000 Chinese civilians. And recently, 1990, the Rwandan genocide, where the Muslim Hutsus slaughtered 500,000 Tutsis. The history of Sonora, compared with that of humanity, is a cakewalk. Humanity is a horrifying tale with every evil possibly imagined, centuries of unbelievable suffering. Today is a rare exception. Because it is a fragile idea that we are going to have millions of people live together under one common allegiance to the idea of a constitution where race would be incidental and not essential to who we are. This is an appealing idea to the thousands and thousands of people who migrate to this country every year. Think about it. While helping to create this new country, Thomas Jefferson had 4 children and a wife die. Now, if one of us had 1 child die while trying to build a country, we'd be an absolute wreck. But still, we judge these people while we drive through Starbucks in our heated automobiles, ordering our mocha frappuccinos. It's the epitome of narcissism and ungratefulness to the people who struggled and suffered and died. Think about it. Each little small city like Sonora has an obligation to focus on what is ahead, to inspire people, colorblind organizations such as One Pile at a Time, the pregnancy center that doesn't care what color you are, the police department volunteers who pick up abandoned shopping carts all over this city. They do it selflessly for the betterment of the community. This is the kind of focus that the citizens would like to see. And think about this, if you have children in the military, as I do. As the Taliban regroup using our military equipment, we need to build up the young
That's
and
3
not
minutes.
tear them down. So whatever these movements are called, social justice, wokeness, identity politics.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne. And thanks, Jackie. Tristan?
I'm sorry, I thought Pablo was next, but
Oh,
anyway,
Sorry.
I guess there's a lot of folks here that are unaware of the history of Sonora. That was in 1851, Sonora was founded, and simultaneously, in that same year, the governor of California stated in his second State of the State address that the extermination of the natives was inevitable, and there were treaties set up between the Indian tribes and the federal government. In 1852, the U.S. Senate decided not to ratify any of them, and to turn over to the state. And in 1853, the state of California ordered the extermination of the natives. In 1856, they offered a scalp bounty of 25 cents per scalp. In 1860, that was increased to $5 a scalp. That went on until the turn of the century, the beginning of the 20th century. Simultaneously, there was a gold rush going on, and there was all this other history taking place. At the same time, the people that were here were driven out and up into the mountains to hide. That's just a piece of history that I'd like to see all the committee members have in mind. Thank you.
Thanks, Tristan. Pablo, sorry if I passed you over. I didn't mean to.
Oh, absolutely no worries. Thank you. I have a lot to say, so I'm going to go fast. Apologies. All right, so first of all, for the resolution, something that I'd like to maybe recommend is the wording, the city of Sonora moves to address longstanding disparities and challenges. It must account for the varied and specific needs of these communities, ensuring that no one is left behind. Second, talking about governments and laws, I'd just like to point out that Mr. Crosby's point was really salient. There is definitely this idea that there could be a loss of revenue, and I think what we've been seeing is that there is a massive loss of revenue with people of color just not wanting to come to our community because they don't feel safe. We have cities like San Francisco, like LA, like Sacramento. All of them have racial equity or social equity committees. They all have major committees that do pass legislation to address those issues. We have the CST Core, which is the Capital Collaborative on Race and Equity, right? That's a California big coalition. As far as safe havens go, safe havens go, in 2017, the safe haven law was passed, basically saying that any area in California, the police is not allowed to use the resources for immigration and stuff. So actually every single city in California is a haven city. So I just wanted to clarify that. Going on to the fourth is what some of the other cities have done. So City of Sacramento has joined the Government Alliance on Race and Equity, GARE. This is a multinational group, members such as San Francisco, LA, Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. And then going into the SCGAG, which is the Special Committee on Equity and Social Justice. That is an association of all regional councils in California. And then moving on to some history. So the genocide of indigenous people is an interesting topic, especially when we think about the genocide of other groups. The Rwanda genocide is an absolute disaster. The Holocaust was an absolute disaster, right? For the Holocaust, we're looking about 6 million deaths. For Rwanda, maybe about 1 million. When we talk about the indigenous genocide of the Americas, we're talking about 55 million. That is 55 times more, right? So that's something really huge to talk about, right? Like the American genocide, the Americas, right, is one of the largest, might be the largest one in history. So, that's something to consider. Also talking about Jefferson owned slaves, and he had a child with one of his slaves who he never freed, right? So these are things that we need to talk about history, right? Because it's things that people don't really grapple with. So, I mean, that's all my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Pablo. Okay, so actually, I think there's been a lot of good information tonight. We've actually accomplished a fair amount.
May I make a comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize your hand was up. Yes, of course you can.
I would propose that since I don't really know the difference between equity and equality in regards to this resolution, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in regards to how this is being proposed, that it be part of the resolution so that anybody reading this resolution will understand what is the attempt that we're trying to accomplish here. Because it seems like every place I'm listening to, equality and equity are not the same word. And some of the efforts that are being made by people outside of our community are not as friendly to, I would say, the law. In other words, if we were to describe how equity is to be applied, it should be applied according to the law, not according to how we feel. So these are some things that I have concerns for. So if that could be accomplished, I think it would be a very good thing for the community, that everybody understands what we're trying to accomplish here between those two ideals of equity and equality. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, did I miss anyone else's raised hand? I'm sorry. I don't think I don't. So it's after 5, so we need to end this. I promise I will have the table updated and the resolution, the actual resolution updated to reflect the changes that we've made tonight and the last few nights. Mercedes, do you?
I just would like to say something before we leave. A quote from Desmond Tutu also.
Okay.
He said, language is very powerful. Language does not just describe reality. Language creates the reality it describes. And I think we need to be very careful about that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Lots of good work, lots of good thoughts. And hopefully Darren will be well and back next in 2 weeks. So we can, and I'll make all these changes and I'll probably talk to Darren about them as well. So, okay, be well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Also, thanks to the public for signing on.
Yeah, thank you to the public. I wanted to say that as well. This
Thank you,
is a
everyone.
lot more interaction than we've had, and I hope you guys still continue to come.
It enriches it. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.